What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy BATEMAN, just in case you did not know so. And we're back again, giving out, well, draft grades for night one. Go ahead, be there again for day two of the draft. We're going to be doing a watch party. This time I'll try not to get it taken down prematurely. So we're not going to be showing any of the draft. Should have known, man. Should have known. ESPN and Disney don't play, man. Mickey Mouse be coming down on y'all. But the draft was very interesting last night. I'm gonna go over each pick. I'm gonna say, I think for the most part, I feel like I'm gonna be a lot more forgiving than other guys you probably watch. So yeah, go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up if you enjoy the content. I'll have best available out, or at least my best available out, pretty darn soon. So be on the look for that. And let's go ahead and do the nitty gritty. Starting with the Jags, I'm going to include Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne in this. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is an A+. I gave Etienne a C, C+, just because of the positional value. Benefit of the doubt, man. They could use Etienne in very creative ways. I think he's much more than just a co-contributor in the backfield with James Robinson. I think you could definitely use him in the slot. He's much more of a receiving back than Robinson, but still stirs me the wrong way. But I can't deduct too much overall from their draft grade. That's what you see, the A-. Honestly, it's probably an A because they came out. You got Trevor Lawrence. You could probably even make a case A+. Didn't really matter who they picked at 25. It's just I'm not saying it's a wasted pick, but I think there was more value at 25, especially when you consider who was on the board at that time. JOK, Trevon Merrick, you could say Christian Barmore, there, even Greg Newsome. Like, there was some good talent around there. Instead, they opted to go running back, which wasn't even a need for them. So they weren't need chasing. They weren't best player available chase. It might have been best player on their board. Who knows? But I gave it A-. I feel like you could easily give it an A. These grades are subject to change. So, and then the Jets, I gave them an A- combined for their draft group. Because what really got me was not just Zach Wilson. That's obviously an A+. What got me was the trade up. I hate the value they traded up to get Elijah Vera Tucker. I told y'all the NFL was pretty high on Elijah Vera Tucker. Gotta give a shout out to Alex from the Hail Mary podcast, who actually hung out with me last night. He said the NFL was high on him. I mean, hey, I don't mind trading up and getting your guy, but essentially, like, look at what they gave up for him. They gave away what, 2 third-rounders. They get a fourth in it as well, on top of, well, swapping first-rounders. I would say the Minnesota Vikings kind of fleeced the Jets here because they ended up trading down and still getting their pick, Darisaw. Like, I just hate the value there. Like, I gave the Elijah Vera Tucker pick a C+. Not because of the prospect, mainly because of the trade. But overall, currently A-. You could make a point that it's an A, just because, again, you got your quarterback, second best quarterback in the draft by a lot of people's standards. So, yeah, still solid grade. And then Trey Lance, I gave it an A. Would have been an A+ if it was Justin Fields, just because, again, these are my rankings. I had Fields higher, but I'm not gonna knock too much off just because they didn't go with my guy. I mean, I think it's a victory that it wasn't Mac Jones, man. We were all fooled. Apparently, Trey Lance was always the guy. So while they get their quarterback of the future, Jimmy G's probably safe. Unlike what Kyle Shanahan said, I think Jimmy G will live past Sunday. And he'll probably start at least the beginning of the year, if not all of the year, as they get Lance not necessarily ready or even up to speed, just familiar with the playbook. Because, I mean, just this guy didn't operate out of a pro-style offense, and he doesn't have a lot of snaps to his name. So, yeah, just getting him ready, which, hey, I'm totally cool with this. I like it. San Fran, I thought they did a good job. Kyle Pitts, how can this be anything other than an A+? I mean, yeah, you could maybe knock him for not being able to trade, but I was telling Alex last night, man, like hardly ever do you see trades draft night in the in the top 10. And I know last night we had a trade at 10, but the same thing happened a couple of years ago with Pittsburgh trading back up to get Devin Bush. But hardly ever do we see that happen draft night. And I let it get to my final mock draft. I made 3 trades, draft night trades, in my final mock draft. Silly me. But yeah, Kyle Pitts is wonderful. I don't know what exactly they're gonna, if they're really shopping Julio. Regardless, I mean, Calvin Ridley being there, Kyle Pitts with the flexibility to kick to the slot, even outside. You got Hayden Hurst there. It's a wonderful pick. And then JAMARR Chase, I gave it an A+ as well. Some people would be like, what do you mean they should got protection? I mean, look at all the guys that are dropping to day 2 that the Bengals could pick from. Samuel Cosme, Tevin Jenkins, Walker Little, Dylan Radins. Like, there's a lot of good talent at tackle here in the second round, and that's where, quite frankly, they could go, probably will go. For me, this was going to be an A+, whether it was Penei Sewell or JAMARR Chase. Joe Burrow, he gets his guy. He gets JAMARR Chase. I think it's solid. And then here comes the Dolphins. I gave them a B. I gave the Dolphins a B for their draft night. I think some people are going to be way more harsh. Quite frankly, I don't mind the value of Jalen Waddle. It just, for me, it's kind of weird. It's like they trade back up with Penei Sewell still on the board. Well, I mean, they trade back up. Penei Sewell ends up still being on the board months later. They go Jalen Waddle. I think they could have maybe traded up from 18 to get Jalen Waddle. Maybe he was a target of maybe a Philly or a New York. I don't know. I'm not crazy about it, but Waddle was still a top 10 prospect for me. I don't want to knock it too much, but the Jalen Phillips, I understand this guy's huge upside. Could be boom bust. Just concerns about the concussion, so we will see. Initially, I had it at a B+. Woke up this morning, was like, maybe not. So I ended up going B in general. So yeah, it's still a solid grade for the Dolphins. Just not feeling wild about it the next morning. And then Penei Sewell, A+ going to the Lions. This is a great pick to start the organization off there for Dan Campbell. Because you just know this guy's going to be solid. He's going to be good. Not a sexy pick. It's a very safe pick. Sewell could be just disgusting opposite of Taylor Decker. So good on the Lions there. They really got value there at 7 after the Dolphins decided not to take Sewell. You could even say the Bengals. And then at 8, J.C. Horn, and again, this one might be subject to change. I got an A- currently on it. I kind of want to drop it to a B+. Just here, Justin Fields. He's on the board. You hadn't signed the 5th-year option to Sam Darnold. Granted this morning, now they have. So they do sign that 5th-year option. I feel like my hat's all kinds of crooked, but it is what it is. And if, like, there's a couple of concerns when it comes to Horn here because they didn't play a lot of press last year. But Phil Snow, he's a wonderful defensive coordinator. I'm very high on him. I think we can expect them to play a lot more press. I bet you that he wanted to last year and just didn't feel like he had the personnel that was ready to do so. Keep in mind, he started Corn Elder, Rasul Douglas. Those were kind of his starters for a bulk of the year. So now Dante Jackson, Troy Pride Jr., who kind of would, he's got the length for a press scheme, so, or a little bit more press. So, I mean, this end up being a good scheme fit. I trust Phil Snow to play to his player's strengths. He's very good about that. So A- right now. maybe B plus. I don't know. We'll see. But I gave Patrick Surtain a B plus just because they passed on Fields. Like, okay, the Panthers, you can make a solid reasoning that, okay, they have Darnold. They just signed the 5th-year option. All right. Okay. But all the Broncos did was bring in Teddy Bridgewater. I know the Aaron Rodgers trade rumors were rampant, but thus far, nothing has come from it. I can't make a decision based on A-Rod potentially going to the Broncos. So Surtain, that's the only reason I'm knocking that down to a B plus is passing on Fields. Outside of that, Surtain's a great talent. I actually really love the pick here. You're playing in an AFC that has a ton of weapons, especially when it comes to the AFC West by itself with the Chargers, the Chiefs. You got the Bills who got some serious weapons there. Like, you're going to need like 3 to 4 corners. And to be frank, most teams, you should keep drafting corner until you have about 3 to 4 because it's a passing league. So I like it, especially it's a look to the future with Kyle Fuller on a 1-year deal, Bryce Callahan at the end of his in the last year of his contract. So I like the pick, like the prospect, not so much the passing up of Justin Fields when you need quarterback. And then the Philadelphia Eagles traded up here, and I wasn't in love with this initially. They traded up for Devontae Smith. I kind of think, like, for me, it was like I felt like the Cowboys, they got a 3rd rounder out of the Eagles for no reason. So you just gave away a 3rd rounder to a division rival to get a guy I thought you could have got at 12. I guess with the Giants and what they did maybe later in the draft tells you they probably would have taken Devontae Smith, but at the same time, I felt like the value they got in their trade kind of I would have taken that value all day compared to Devontae Smith. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know what? You gave up just a 3rd rounder to go up and get your guy. Devontae Smith is wonderful. I'm not going to be too harsh about it. It's an A- for me. Also with Fields on the board, and some Eagles fans be like, what? Fields was never the option or never could have been an option. I think he should have been. Like Waddle, I don't know if Waddle. I don't know if Hurts is your future guy. We'll find out this year, though. And then A+ for Justin Fields and the Bears. Bears, you go up, you get your guy. I don't know if this saves Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace's job. Maybe it gives them a little more leeway. It's like, hey, we got our quarterback of the future. I don't know what you're talking about. We will see. But I love the idea of going up, grabbing your guy. All they had to do was swap 1st-round picks. They included a 1st-rounder as well as a 4th and a 5th. Yeah, I think it was. You didn't give that much up. Compared to what San Fran, they traded away 2 extra 1st-round picks and a 3rd round next year for Trey Lance. All you had to do was give up an extra 1st-rounder, a 4th, and a 5th to get a guy who was higher on my board. I love it. I love it, dude. Fields, this is a great pick. I knew he wasn't going to fall too far. Yeah, good on y'all, man. Good on y'all. And then I gave an A+ to the Dallas Cowboys. I gave a lot of A+ tonight, y'all. I love the trade down. I love, because right in front of him, man, J.C. Horn, taken. Patrick Surtain, gone. Corner was kind of the obvious position to go, and now it was no longer a possibility unless you wanted to reach at that point. So they decide to trade down. They get an extra 3rd rounder, which they could address corner in the 3rd round. There's going to be some talent there. We'll find out today. And they grab Micah Parsons, a blue chip prospect, a top 10 talent. I loved it. I think that was a great pick by Dallas. I know some people worry about character issues. I don't have those concerns. A lot of the stuff, like when it came to the hazing and whatnot, none of that stuff could be, or at least proof couldn't be given. There was no witness testimony. It was just one guy's word. So if that means something to you, burden of proof's on him, unfortunately. If it but there's no, there is none. So that's how I feel about it. This guy's amazing. What, 4.39 is what he ran? Ugh. Probably a 4.45, 4.44. It's more accurate. That's crazy for your sneaking linebacker. He can be a top 5, top 10 linebacker in the league. I love it. I love it. A+ to Rashawn Slater. We all knew Chargers probably going offensive line. Slater ended up falling here. That's an A+. I don't know what more to talk about with this pick. It's good. It's a good pick. A+ to the New England Patriots going Mackie Jones. You might be like, well, it's Mac Jones. Yeah, it's not wonderful, but this is how I see it. Bill Belichick stuck to his guns, didn't trade up, got the guy he probably wanted. Apparently, like if it was me, I've been trading up to get me Justin Fields. No, it didn't end up being the case. Instead, he sat pretty at 15 and took Mac Jones, and I think that's reasonable. Mac Jones was never a guy I wanted to trade up for, but they ended up getting him here anyway. And that's just kind of wild thinking about it. In my final mock draft, I had Patriots trade up for Justin Fields, and I had the Bears trade up for Mac Jones because they were desperate, and it goes vice versa. And Patriots didn't even have to trade up. Wild. Zaven Collins going to the Cardinals. I gave it a B. I feel so indifferent about this. Again, grades subject to change. We'll see what happens when I get to my final grades, but this just feels like a Son Reddick just replacement. For me, Collins isn't some guy I expect to play in the middle of the field for me. Like Jordan Hicks. I think he's best served taking advantage of that pass rush upside, and liking the ability to potentially drop back in coverage. But I mean, you have Isaiah Simmons. Like, I guess it gives you a lot of, like, you could show a lot of different looks defensively, but yeah, I'm kind of indifferent. I don't think it's not a bad pick by any means. It's just I'm indifferent. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. And then at 17, here it is. Everyone's waiting for this. I gave a D+ to Alex Leatherwood. Just because there was so much better tackle talent on the board. And they went with the guy they probably could have got with their second round pick. The Raiders just proved they're the Raiders. Mike Mayock and freaking John Gruden, Chucky himself. They just prove why they're kind of the laughing stock of the draft. Cleveland Farrell, Damon Arnett. Like, don't get this grade wrong. I think Alex Leatherwood's going to be a solid player. I think he's going to be a very good player. I guess you're starting him at guard? I would have loved to give Leatherwood. I would have given him a shot at tackle. I really would have. I don't think they do that unless, because I don't feel good about putting him at right tackle. I guess they can do that. I don't feel great about it just since he hasn't ever really played there. But I mean, the same thing happened with Jedrick Willis, but also he was way more explosive and athletic. I don't know. All in all, you had better prospects on the board, Raiders. I think you kind of goofed. It's probably the worst pick in the first round by far. Yeah, not much else to say about that. Washington football team, Jamin Davis, man. I gave it an A-, borderline B grade for me. But I mean, it's not like he was too far down my board. He was sitting at like 30, 31. I was telling y'all, man, Jamin Davis, when you have a pro day like his, you're going to go in the first round. And golly gee, the guy I've been mocking here all day, every day for the last month, JOK, ends up being the one not drafted in the first round. Just a wild turn of events. I love what he brings to Washington. He's long, he's athletic. That's a stupid, scary defensive front seven with Young, with Montez Sweat. It's extremely athletic. Oh gosh, it's dangerous. And yeah, I think A- grade, that's warranted. I think it's solid pick. And then at 20, I gave the New York Football Giants an A. I love the value they got with the trade down. You got a first rounder, you got a fourth and a fifth, but I mean, you're trading down. You get an extra first rounder next year. I love that. And they end up grabbing Kadarius Toney, which I told y'all he was going to end up being a top 20 prospect. I told y'all. Even though Rashod Bateman's higher on my board. Just saying, that's what the rumors were saying. I'm kind of curious how he fits in. I like the idea. Now they got a stupid athletic weapon that's hard to bring down. He's a bit different than what they have in Galladay. Well, yeah, he's a whole lot different than what they have in Galladay and Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard. So I think where you really have a much scarier dump down option compared to Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney. So I gave this an A. I really like the pick a lot. And I like the trade down, obviously. And then at 21, Kwity Paye going to the Colts. That's an A+, man. That's he was top edge on my board. You get him at 21. Solid. Chris Ballard didn't end up trading back. So, yeah, you got Kwity Paye. That's great value. And then at 22, Caleb Farley to the Titans. I gave this a B+. I'm a bit indifferent about it. Not even. Like, with Greg Newsome on the board, instead they go with, I will say it, Caleb Farley. He has top 10 potential in terms of his traits. It's just the back injury is kind of a concern. And that's kind of why I'm not gonna let a grade. Overall, this is still a great pick with tremendous potential for value. Obviously, the injury though knocks it down a little bit. And then at 23, Vikings A+. Christian Darrisaw, you traded down. Like, good on y'all. They have more third rounders and freaking than what they know to do with. Like, that's wild. Amazing. Good job on you, Vikings. I bet you they're going to be active. They have enough picks to trade back up in the second round and then to spare. I think they have, 4, 5 third-round picks. I love it. They trade down, get a top 15 guy in this class. Great pick. Good job, Vikings. At 24, Najee Harris going to the Steelers. Shouldn't be no secret. I gave it a C+. I'm not a big fan of running back. I think it's not a valuable position in the first round. I think they would have been, if they were trying to address the run game, I think you go tackle here. Because you can make a case Zach Banner, but I think you could definitely upgrade at least the opposite of him, whether it was a Tevin Jenkins, Samuel Cosme, either one of those guys. Yeah, man, that's how you improve the run game. I don't like Najee Harris. He's going to be nice. But he's a great prospect. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he himself's enough to counter maybe at best average offensive line, and I would say potentially below average run blocking offensive line. So we'll see. But this was kind of an easy prediction, I guess. I nailed it after my predictive mock fell apart after pick 6. Greg Newsome going to the Browns. I gave it an A, borderline A+. It's really good value, good grade. Definitely saw this being a potential area they went. Greg Newsome, I thought he was going to end up going to the top 20. I'm surprised the Cardinals didn't go with him. Instead, they went with Zay McCollins, who was someone lower on my board. So Browns, good on you, man, addressing the corner position, much like the Broncos did. Playing in that AFC, man, you got those good quarterbacks with a ton of weapons. How do you counter that? Well, corner play. And then at 27, and actually, let's go over 31. I gave the Freaking Ravens, A+. Rashod Bateman, great value. He's a top 20 prospect in my pick. Jason Owe, I told y'all he was a first rounder, and I love him as a fit. Baltimore, they're among the best at developing tackles, and they got a guy with hell a lot of traits. A+. Not much else to say there. And then the New Orleans Saints, C+. I love Payton Turner, man. It's just, I feel better if they were able to trade down. Maybe they weren't able to trade down. Maybe Loomis is incapable of trading down. They're great at evaluating talent, and I actually really like Payton Turner a lot. Just to me, I had him in my 50 range overall on my board. So it just feels like a reach, but the versatility is going to be big. I think he's going to be included in the rotation pretty heavily from day one. Probably should have saw this coming since they couldn't pick back up Trey Hendrickson, and the interior of that defensive line is kind of bare. You really only have a couple of guys, so Turner gives you that flexibility. So C+, kind of borderline B-, but I'm going to stick with C+ here. For me, it's just average, just considering where I had him on my board. And then Eric Stokes also is a C+. Initially, I had this B-, but at the end of the day, man, Eric Stokes, I had him lower than Payton Turner on my board. In my predictive mock, the only reason I had him in the first, because I was like, I bet you this guy could sneak into the first just based on well, that's speed, I guess. And there was rumors that a lot of teams really liked Eric Stokes, so it didn't surprise me. And I kind of bit in, like when I started making these grades, I kind of bought into it like he was a first. I was like, no, this guy's more of a mid to late second rounder. I mean, at one point I had him as a third rounder in my draft process. It didn't really come around to him till the last couple of weeks, but still not a first rounder to me. And you know what? You should dock some grades with all the nonsense going on with Aaron Rodgers. Good on you, Packers, for just growing up screw-ups. I gave a B- to Gregory Rousseau going to the Buffalo Bills. I get it. The freaky physical upside. I mean, just look at him. Look at the length. The Bills, they will make use of him some way, somehow. It's just not a sexy pick, but I had him like 40th, 41st on my board. So it wasn't nearly as a reach as I would say like guys like Turner and Stokes were. So I'm not going to knock it too much. I do think that they should have went edge here. You could maybe make the case for Azeez Ojulari, but the whole degenerative knee thing coming out potentially, that is a little scary. But yeah, overall B-, it's all right. Like I said, I think my grades are going to be way more forgiving than a lot of other people. And then to finish it off, Joe Tryon, B-. I get it. Again, going back to physical upside. We hadn't seen these guys like him or Rousseau in a year, and there's just a lot more questions about where they are in their development, but for the most part, they're kind of blank canvases. Like Joe Tryon's a guy you could sprinkle in to the rotation. He's not going to be a starter from the get-go. He's probably the JPP long-term replacement. I won't deny, man, the dude's stupid strong, one of the prettiest bull rushes in the league. So yeah, I understand why they would go him upside. And you know what? Let's go back to that like Packers pick, because another thing, like I was going over this, Barry's defense, right? I'm assuming that's going to be off coverage. I'm going to assume that's off zone, excuse me. And just Stokes, the man's been a press man corner. I think that's where he's at his best, especially with his size, with his length. And it just doesn't seem like a good fit now when I think about it. And I mocked him to the Bills. Benefit of the doubt, the Bills during the last part of the last stretch of the season and in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, they incorporate a lot of press man. That's why I had Stokes up there. It makes a lot less sense though for the Packers. But yeah. Those are my draft grades. Let me know what your grades are in the comments section below. Let me know what you think. And be on the lookout for the best available. We're back to do it again tonight. This time, hopefully, not getting shut down by YouTube. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.